When you look at this image, what do you see? Maybe a little animated fox, an innocent cartoon, something you'd see on a lunchbox. You are wrong.
Yep, this one's wet. This one too. Also wet.
This little fox has been making women more feral. Jacob Elordi could never. If they allowed animated characters to be in the running for Sexiest Man Alive, Nick Wilde would have been it by now. But it's not just Nick Wilde, there's hundreds and hundreds of characters that have been covering Hear Me Out cakes, with people so thirsty that they could literally drink me out of house and home. But sometimes these innocent crushes can lead to obsessions and even marriage. But first, a quick word from today's sponsor. As someone who enjoys finding new shows and movies to watch, one of the things that has assisted me in reaching this goal is learning new languages. And thanks to Mondly, the sponsor of this video, you can now get 65% off lifetime access using the link mondlyapp/abbieree. Mondly is a language learning platform with aims to help you speak a new language with confidence. With over 125 million downloads, being one of the top 5 language learning apps in the world, you'll be smooth sailing into learning a new language in no time. And with 1,320 language combinations, the possibilities are endless. As someone who grew up speaking Greek, it has always been my goal to relearn some of that language that I've now forgotten. And thanks to Mondly, I am now able to do so. Mondly doesn't just have daily lessons, weekly and monthly quizzes, but also the opportunity at the end of each week or month where you can take a quiz and review what you have been learning, which makes it so easy to keep up with your progress. Use my link to get 65% off lifetime access to 41 languages and start learning today. Now, back to the video. Whether it's Lola Bunny from Space Jam, Flynn Rider from Tangled, or Beast from Beauty and the Beast, but no creature in the history of animation ever hit the world quite as hard as Nick Wilde from Zootopia. Ever since Zootopia came out in 2016, an animated comedy film that follows bunny cop Judy Hopps, who teams up with con artist fox named Nick Wilde. It has had hundreds of fans, a lot in which have a crush on some of the characters, specifically Nick Wilde. Some in which can't figure out what it is that makes him so appealing.
Nick Wilde has a Reddit thread full of people debating whether he's hot or not.
This is true. This is true. My daughters told me this. And it's very weird. I guess it's flattering.
There's like 90 plus comments, people debating whether he is or not hot.
Where did it come from, though? I mean, like, but it's. Are they saying like the fox itself is handsome? It's his like. Why not other characters that are drawn literally in a handsome way, like Prince Charming?
I think it's the attitude, the voice, and the eyes.
Now, what seems like an innocent crush on a character can get a little more intense with explicit art and fanfiction. Recently, Zootopia 2 released, and I don't know what it is, but my algorithm is really pushing Nick Wilde edits on me right now. The way you guys have been editing him, I kind of get it now, and it has me wondering what it is that makes some animated characters so attractive. Well, a few things actually go into what makes a character appealing or attractive to a certain audience. Physicality, attitude, and personality. Apart from the fact that Nick Wilde is a fox, and throughout history, fox characters have always been somewhat of a crush for certain people that date back to the 70s. The fox from the 1973 animated Robin Hood, Mr. Fox from Fantastic Mr. Fox, and so on. Now, whilst this is kind of sounding a bit like furry territory, in many cases it isn't the actual fox itself, like the physical look of the fox that people are attracted to, but what fox characters represent. Cunning, trickery, intelligence, and adaptability, but also playfulness and mischief. In some cases may come off as the bad boy or who misunderstood, but still has empathy and kindness. This may be one of the reasons that Flynn Rider is also a very popular crush in the animated atmosphere. You can relate these traits back to people in TV shows and movies, as you would tend to always root for the misunderstood bad boy. The other factor is body language, the way Nick Wilde is very confident and sassy within his mannerisms. We've definitely got more comfortable over the years expressing our crushes on certain characters, with recent trends like the Hear Me Out cake, where people would stick their crush on a stick and then put it in the cake. Most of these would be animated characters, but sometimes these crushes go further than just a crush. Most of the time these crushes are completely harmless, but there are times when people take it to another level. Like Mr. Kondo, who married 16-year-old anime character Miku, a virtual singer who had starred in several video games and has even accompanied Lady Gaga on her world tours. Mr. Kondo fell in love with the character after purchasing a desktop hologram of Miku. These desktop holograms, created by Gatebox, is a 3D hologram of an anime character that sits in a tube and takes on the role of a virtual companion as well as a virtual assistant. These often are marketed towards people who are lonely and in need of company to interact with. Compared to things like Google and Alexa, your Gatebox can send messages throughout the day via the app, with phrases like "come home early" and "can't wait to see you," coming across as an actual girlfriend who you can also watch movies together with, and even quotes from people in the promo saying, "You know someone's home for me. Feels great." This marketing worked for Mr. Kondo, who fell head over heels. "I'm in love with the whole concept of Miku, but I got married to the Miku of my house." But this is so much more than just a hologram. Miku tells him goodbye when he heads off to work each morning. He sends Miku messages when he's on his way home and she'll turn the lights on. She tells him not to stay up too late and can presumably wake him up as well. Gatebox also offers customers a marriage certificate. It calls these unions cross-dimension marriages, and has sent out more than 3,700 of them, according to the report by AFP. As Mr. Kondo can't actually sleep with Miku, he uses a body pillow of her instead, and on their wedding day he carried a tiny stuffed version of Miku with him to the altar. The wedding cost him $17,500 with 40 guests, but his family and mother didn't arrive and declined the invitation. However, due to an update in the software that Gatebox was using, sadly interaction and communication with his wife was no longer available. According to the Japanese newspaper, Kondo says that his relationship with the hologram helped him overcome a deep depression caused by work and fear of social rejection. Faced with the inability to continue communicating with her, he said, "My love for Miku has not changed. I held the wedding ceremony because I thought that I could be with her forever. Wherever he wants her to go, he is accompanied by a life-size model of her, and hopes to be able to communicate with her again in some way in the future." These types of people attracted to cartoons or anime are described as being fictosexual, an identity of someone who mostly or exclusively is attracted to fictional characters. I guess where it gets somewhat dangerous is when these characters are actually impacting their life and their family and their friends and their health. It reminds me very much like the AI generated boyfriend and girlfriends, where it's not actually the best for the person's health when they're relying and talking to these people who aren't really real. Similar to ChatGPT, who can actually influence you to do certain things that is not safe for you and others. The concept of people being in relationships with cartoons or animated characters has definitely been explored in media. Now we've talked a little about the relationships of people and cartoons and animated characters, let's talk more so about the sexualization of child content. As weird as it may sound, kid content often does get turned into something explicit. Think sexy Halloween costumes, hot fan art, or even roleplay. If you have been on YouTube long enough to remember the Elsa Gate videos, with people dressing up as Disney characters like Elsa and Spider-Man, scenes of violent or sexual nature. Many of these did involve Spider-Man and Elsa for some really weird reason. It was such a weird time. Most of these were directed at kids, and specifically on YouTube Kids. Luckily, YouTube did start banning these accounts, and most of them are gone now. Kids' cartoons do sometimes also include adult humor. There have been plenty of compilations of adult jokes in kids' cartoons. When I'm saying kid cartoons or shows or animation aimed for kids, I'm not saying that people who aren't children don't watch these shows as well, because plenty of adults do watch a lot of shows that are targeted and are safe for kids. Some of these jokes do generally have you questioning how on earth they managed to get on TV. A few examples include,
"And that's how I fell in love with pie."
Huh? Oh, great story, Dad.
You want to hear it again?
No, thanks.
I don't mind. Once when I was 7 years old, I sat on a banana. And of course, that changed my life.
He's 13 years old now.
Oh, dang it! Well, I'm out of here. Goodbye, everyone.
What happened, man?
I'm not going back out there.
Dancing? Yes, dancing. I'd like to see you dance. Oh, okay, but it's $50 extra.
Now, there are plenty more where that came from. Most of these jokes are harmless and very tame compared to the ones in adult cartoons. Famously, Adult Swim, that launched September 2nd, 2001 on Cartoon Network.
All kids out of the pool for Adult Swim.
Shared programs that were aimed for 18+. These shows would air in the evening after all the kid daytime shows had been aired, which led us to get some of the most iconic adult cartoons. However, cartoons do have a significant influence on kids through shaping their behaviours preferences and perception on things. The movie Cool World, which, despite it being PG-12, is not necessarily for kids. The movie is full of seemingly quite explicit content that if weren't animated definitely would not be a kids movie at all. Even people who have watched the movie several times as kids look back at that movie and think, this definitely was not okay for children to watch, and realizing how inappropriate it actually is. But how much of content for kids, especially cartoons and animation, how much of it actually is influenced by politics, sexual orientation, objectification, and what are those effects on people watching? The way in which sexuality is tackled in children's cartoons has picked up a lot of concern over the years, as exposures to certain ideas can be injected into the brain from a very young age. The debate of, well, kids don't understand it, so how can they be affected by it, has been used many times in the past in order to argue against putting certain imagery in cartoons. Back in the day, before you could rewind TV, several animators would often hide adult humor in cartoons. Over time, people have noticed these little hidden imagery. In the Disney movie The Rescuers, there was a hidden porn magazine, and when asked about it, Disney's former animator said, oh yeah, there's a naked picture in there. But it's not just hidden jokes or hidden imagery, but also the promotion of body ideals. When examining physical attractiveness among 120 characters appearing in 23 feature-length Walt Disney cartoons spanning a 6-decade period, the authors discovered that protagonists were shown to be more attractive than antagonists. Also that good characters were portrayed as being thinner than villains or bad characters. These messages about the importance of being attractive and the types of people that are considered to be attractive and unattractive are concerning for young people, as they may present them with messages on what they should and shouldn't look like, which is very unhealthy. Throughout the years, female characters are drawn with womanly curves. Think Jessica Rabbit, Lola Bunny, Betty Boop, who I always find is a bit weird because she's meant to be a 16-year-old. We also have characters like Pixar mums with big hips, small waists, and modest bust. But why is that? Here's a TikTok that I think explains it really well.
Why do all Pixar moms have huge dumpies? If you've existed online at all within the last year, you've probably seen memes like this, or even this. So what is Pixar's fascination with the massive dump truck of a butt? So to understand this whole phenomenon, we have to first start with something that we call Hartman hips. Butch Hartman was an American animator who was involved with shows like Fairly Odd Parents, who was responsible for notable characters like this. Now, Butch Hartman wasn't the only American animator designing maternal figures in this way, and depicting them with just the biggest badonk ever, but he certainly helped popularize it. In most classic Disney movies, we don't even see the moms. The moms are actually absent in most stories. So when Pixar jumped on the scene, we kind of have an interesting issue where, like, we haven't seen a lot of positive maternal female roles in Disney movies before. So it creates this interesting question: how do you differentiate a young female character from a older, more maternal female character? With male characters, this is a really simple fix, because to make a male character appear more masculine, the go-to is usually to make their shoulders broader. But in a society that hypersexualizes female breasts, you can't just make a mom's breast bigger to make her appear older and more mature. So in order to differentiate the older characters from the younger characters, you end up with big old dumpies.
Ultimately, they couldn't have the mums have big boobs, so they made the mums have big hips, as it's more PG friendly. It's kind of crazy to think that even cartoons have specific types of beauty standards to fit into. The overall conclusion of this whole video is that attraction has always played a part in cartoons, whether that has been physically or emotionally. It is pretty normal to have a crush on a cartoon or an animated character, and it's not always because of what they look like, but more so what they represent. I don't think there should be any reason to judge someone if they have a crush on a character. As long as it's not hurting anyone, you do you. It's a very interesting topic, and I'm barely scratching the surface in this video, so if you don't really want another video diving more into this, let me know, and I'll try and get some people who know more than me on the subject in on that video. So the question in the comments today is, what is your cartoon Hear Me Out? Thank you so much for watching this video. I really am interested in hearing your thoughts on this whole subject, and I will see you all in my next one. Bye!
Hear me out, Nick Wilde. How's this now?